Right, so continuing on from last week, we spoke about squat position and how to squat and how to try and utilize that posterior chain a little bit more than just utilizing those quads. One thing we're going to go through today is I'm just going to take you through 4 movements or a quick little routine that I do sometimes pre-squat just to try and get those hamstrings working and those glutes working, as well as mobilize a little bit more. So all four of these movements we've done previously. So I'm going to kind of fly through them really quick for this, just so you get a little bit of an idea on what we need to do. But if you want to go a little bit more in depth on each of these movements, just jump up to the search bar on our channel and just type in the movements. We've done a video on each of these individually in the past. So what you're going to need for these, you're going to need at minimum a lacrosse ball. You're going to need a band of some description and a box, or you don't necessarily need the box, but you just need the hard surface. So generally what I'm going to start off with is I'm just going to start off with the lacrosse ball, doing some quick mobility work. We're just going to do a glute release with the lacrosse ball, taking the lacrosse ball, placing it on the ground. Then from there, if I'm trying to hit this right glute here, I'm going to take my right leg, I'm going to place it on top of my knee, and then from there, I'm just going to start moving around my glute and my hip capsule, just really try and find those tight spots, opening up a little bit, spending about a minute on each side, just really working that. And if I find somewhere that's a little bit tighter, I'll just settle on there and just kind of small movements just to try and break that up a little bit. So I'll go a minute each side with that glute release. Moving on to the box, we're just going to do a quick hamstring release. It's not really a dynamic one, but it's movement. So sitting on the box, when I sit down, I want to make sure I've got good posture, so I'm not in an overextended position. I'm also not in a position of flexion. I've just got those ribs tucked down in line with my pelvis in a good position. I'm just going to take that lacrosse ball and stick it in the middle of my hamstring. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. You can move it up and down each set you do this, but basically set that there, maintain that good posture, and then all I'm going to try and do is just bring that leg up, back down, up, nice and controlled. Pause for 2 to 3 seconds at the top, and I'm just going to do 10 to 15 reps of that. I like to get people to pull their foot, so get their foot into dorsiflexion. It just puts that hamstring on tension a little bit more. If you have really good hamstring mobility, unlike myself, you can bring your torso forward, maintaining that good posture, and that's going to stretch out that hamstring a little bit more. But about 10 to 15 reps each side, change onto one side, go to the other, and then from there we're going to move on to some really light activation work, because we've got some work to do with our squats afterwards. So with the band, we're just going to do some hamstring curls. So lying face down, you can go 1 foot through or 2 feet through. If you go single leg, I kind of like that a little bit better, because if you have a strength deficiency on either side, it's going to identify that. So you'll base the amount that you do off your weaker side. You want to move out away from where it's anchored as far as you can to get tension on there. Try and set everything down. And then from there, we're going to nice dynamic movement, pull our heel to our butt, and then controlled 2 to 3 second lower on the way down. Try and keep it a nice, smooth, consistent movement. Pull, back down, and so on and so forth. You're going to do about 10 reps each side, or 10 reps if you're doing a double leg for that one. Unlike my last rep, nice and dynamic on the way up. Try and get that heel as close to your butt as you can, but then a smooth, controlled 2 to 3 second lower on the way down. From there, we'll just go face up, lying our back. We're going to do some glute bridges, so feet kind of set outside your hips, toes pointed forward. Think about digging that big toe in. Be mindful of what's happening with your midline. Try not to get into a position of overextension or flexion. Keeping those knees over our toes, we're just going to drive up and really think about squeezing those glutes at the top. Again, about 10 to 15 reps if we're doing a double leg. You can turn that into a single leg as well too. Another variation you can do is grab a resistance band and put it around your knees, forcing those knees out, and it just gives you a little bit more hip abduction there, trying to really recruit those muscles in your glutes. So I generally do, depending on how you are with time, do like 2 to 3 rounds of that. So you're gonna go a minute on each side with your glute release, 10 to 15 reps with the hamstring release, and then 10 to 15 reps on the hamstring curls and the glute bridges, 2 to 3 times round, and that should get you prepped and primed to then go on and squat the house down. So hopefully that helps. Got any other questions, hit us up, let's get it.